welcome to Warhammer Workshop. My name is Amy, and I am joined with his brand new data slate by JF. JF, hello.
Wait, I have a new data slate?
I assume you do. You got a bunch of them, so
Didn't Kill Team got a bunch of data slates, and we'll get to that
yeah,
briefly at some point.
yeah.
Uh,
I thought you could
wait,
use
do I?
an upgrade. Why not?
My rules need to be boosted. I feel like I as a human being am being nerfed every birthday.
That's fair.
My toughness, I'm losing points in toughness. I can guarantee that, and strength isn't looking good either. um, uh, so we don't have after the deluge of information that we got with League of Votann and a bunch of things. We don't have. This isn't our lean week.
It is and it isn't. There's a few things that have been pretty highly anticipated that are going to be available for pre-order. First of all, it's those amazing Amazon Blood Bowl team, which while we are not Blood Bowl players, we appreciate a pretty model when we see one. And there's that little frog guy.
Right?
And they have so many buddies.
Dope.
So many buddies on this one.
Well, at least two of the players have snake buddies on their arms.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of frog buddies. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really like how Games Workshop is leaning into having figs have little hangers on.
Yeah. They know we love them.
Nowhere is it more apparent than with beast snaggers who all have grots aren't. It's possible, but not necessarily preferable to have a grot army. But even if you only have orcs, a lot of them, like the big models, will have a grot somewhere, and that's delightful.
The one thing that I don't think they showed us at the preview for this one, because I feel like I would have remembered, are the balls for this team. So there's two that look like skulls with pointy football-y shaped heads, but more importantly, there are two that have been eaten by snakes. I would have
swallowed
remembered that.
whole.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something I would also have remembered, and it's gotten to the point where these models have so much detail and cool little features that Games Workshop isn't even able to keep up with itself.
Yeah.
To show all of them, and I mean that's fine. Like, we get to discover them as we go along, but
yeah, it's a nice
the snake balls,
Real good.
they're tokens, and they're really high on my list of cool mini models for this year.
So good.
It is disheartening to see to not be into Blood Bowl, seeing as all the teams that have been coming out are so cool, and yet the game itself is it's so detached from everything that Games Workshop produces. It's completely its own world.
Yeah, it's not like we can buy these to use for something else, really.
And every time I see one of these teams, I think, well, can I convert them? And the answer is always, I could, but is it worth it?
Yeah.
But speaking of things that are completely kind of their own, we're getting a reissue of Curse City.
The long-awaited reissue of Curse City.
Maybe it's because my local gaming store still has a couple of copies,
sure.
But I know it went out of print for a very long time, but I was under the clear impression that it had already returned, and now it's like returning again.
I think what happened was there was a pre-order window a while back, and they were basically not quite made to order, but made to order, and it was like people were getting things like it's going to be like 10 weeks or whatever. So they've gotten more out there, but this is like it's actually going to be back on the shelves along with its very first expansion,
the model-less expansion.
Yeah, Night Wars.
So it feels like this is like the third time I'm seeing Curse City come out, and I mean, I'm glad, I'm happy for it. Every time they push it, I get a little closer to getting a copy for myself. But at the same time, I'm feeling, couldn't they do that for some other games? That I feel like Games Workshop is really invested in Curse City, and that's fine. I guess they have plans for it, and that's cool. I just feel like maybe Aeronautica Imperialists could have used some of that love.
I don't disagree. But I think it wouldn't be quite like, it wouldn't seem like such a big deal if that first go round hadn't been quite so tumultuous.
I agreed. I just feel like that's the problem. Like the tumult of the original Cursed City release was not of Games Workshop's making.
Right.
Basically, it's all pandemic and distribution channel things. Meanwhile, I feel that I don't want to call it a failure, but perhaps the lackluster launch of games like Aeronautic Imperialist or
Yeah.
sustainment of that game is of Games Workshop's doing.
Agreed.
So I don't know that he would even be capable of going back and fixing that. Though there are, I have it on very weak authority that some of the Games Workshop, some of the Warhammer stores, or at least my local one, has apparently been sending back Aeronautica models to Games Workshop, which is odd behavior. Usually they'll discount things and try to sell them. I don't know that it's economically wise to return models to the manufacturer.
Yeah.
So it makes me curious. Like my how can I say, delusional optimism makes me want to think that maybe they've got something planned, and the knee jerk to that is, well, they've recently put out a book for Aeronautica Imperialis to bring it into Horus Heresy. The other game that's not doing super well, that's Horus Heresy only, aside from Horus Heresy, is Adeptice Titanicus.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are 28 millimeter. There used to be this one game called Epic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Games Workshop does repackaging for this kind of model. Maybe now it's harder to get things manufactured and they're more thrifty about these things.
Right.
Anyways.
Well, so interesting
you heard
thing
it here first. Epic confirmed.
Well, so a couple things on that front, if we're going to go ahead and rumor up the way we like. So first of all, the starter boxes, there are no starter boxes for Aeronautica on the Games Workshop website right now. I saw some chatter about it, and I have just quick scrolled and looked, and there are no starter boxes on the website. Take from that what you will. So we do have a preview coming up in about a week-ish.
Yeah, and this is kind of a little bit where I take the idea of that, wouldn't it be great to get Epic? And I'm not a huge Epic fan. The only reason I want to see Epic is so that we get more Aeronautica Imperialis on the table somehow. But I heard that this preview was described as, do not miss this Epic preview.
Yeah.
Which could mean nothing. It probably means nothing. But I choose to read into it way more than there is.
They have done it before.
Because it amuses me.
Yeah, they've done things like that before with the wording, right? Like they've talked about giant previews when we had the Gargants.
I think they've done that twice now.
Yeah. So it's not unprecedented.
No, it's not impossible. It's improbable.
Sure. But we'll see. I just want to paint microscopic models. I don't actually want to do that, but I will.
No, if they do Epic, I would like infantry to be tokens. Fancy tokens. But
sure.
Tokens nonetheless. So Warcry is getting a core book. I'm not sure that means much. This is just an updated core book for Warcry for the new edition.
It's the one that's in the box. So it's, it's got all the errata and things like that all rolled into it. So if you play and you didn't get the latest box, but you want the updated rulebook, now you can buy it.
Or in my case, if I don't play but want to get into it and have a war band and don't have the money to get the box, I might just get the book and move on from there. So now we're starting to get into some of the cooler things, I think
so. There's the Space Marine Heroes, which I like the Space Marine Heroes line an awful lot, in spite of the fact that I don't particularly care about Space Marines. Because those models, like the ones that we get with, say, Underworlds, right, are all very dynamic and interesting and individual. I have the Death Guard ones that they put out, and I love them. So these are Blood Angels. Well, they've painted them like Blood Angels, but they could be anybody.
I mean, yeah, I guess like a quick look at them. They don't seem to have any sculpted on heraldry
No.
or chapter specific details. I could be wrong. Maybe they have some that I can't see from the models. But I mean, they're cool. They're Space Marines.
Yep.
Not
like
even
the-
Primaris, just your classic ye old Space Marines.
I like the rocket launcher an awful lot. That's cool.
Yeah. Seeing it in action.
We've got Horus Heresy upgrade kits. Which
I
is
am
good.
pumped whenever I see those because it means the ones I want get closer with every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As soon as we check more off the list, we're like people waiting for the Astra Militarum Codex. It's like, well, every codex we check off, I guess we're moving up the line.
Exactly.
In this case, we've got World Eaters and Space Wolves. Which
yes,
the
those
Space Wolves,
absolutely the great wolf heads.
I love them. And those were one of the first ones that they showed off, and they're finally coming out.
They were a bit down the line, not exactly first,
right.
but but I say we remember them clearly for the controversy they somehow created.
Somehow. So there's a whole bunch of Black Library stuff coming out, which is where I generally stop scrolling. Not because I'm not interested in Black Library, but like I'll go find a book when it's ready. Like I'm not going to pre-order Black Library. Like it will come to me when I need it. And then you sent me the link to this week's article on the Warhammer community site with the pre-orders for next week, and you said scroll down. And I was thinking to myself, I did scroll down. I didn't scroll down far enough.
No, because and there's probably some speculation to be had about that, but we have a whole list of Games Workshop's usual holiday goodies being offered. Some of them are reissues from last year. The Chibi Advent calendar.
All right, I want to talk about this because
it is so disappointing.
I enjoy the Chibis, I really do, but it is exclusively Space Marines.
And it is clearly marked as the Warhammer 40K Space Marines Chibi Advent Calendar,
which is fine. Like that's fine and that's great, but they put out the Little Sister of Battle in the official ones, and if you are familiar with I forget who it is now, but they're Chibi capsule models, and they have a whole line of Sisters of Battle.
I guess I think my brother is actually 3D printing some of that. It's one of the only things he ever painted with his 3D printer.
Perfect.
But it's a little disappointing because first of all, I think it misses the point of what this calendar could and should be for a Games Workshop fan. Sure. Like the serious players are not going to be starting to have Chibi units on the table. That's not in the cards. These are not game pieces. They're purely just decoration pieces. And having just 24 what looks to be the exact same fig pre-painted in various known chapter colors is cute, but it falls short of the potential, because if these were have them pre-painted, fine, we can prime over that. But if there was more variety in the sculpts, first of all, it makes the advent calendar so much more fun. Wondering, okay, well, which one's the next one? Because now I know which one's the next one. Is the same sculpt in a different color scheme. Yeah, like, I can't get excited day after day for 24 days with that.
Sure.
Hopefully they're just venting stock, and maybe we'll get something cooler next year for the advent calendar.
I mean, it's worth mentioning that it is Bandai that puts it out. So it's, it's the licensing. It's not what Games Workshop is deciding to do necessarily. But yeah, I mean, even the individual Chibi ones that they did, there was some variety. I think there was a beaky head. There were a couple of different poses.
Yeah, there's definitely more to be done with what is a cool concept. I get an advent calendar every year. Usually it's a Lindor chocolate advent calendar because I like chocolate. Yeah. I would probably, if these were more interesting, more varied, I would definitely probably get. There's a good chance I would get an advent calendar with like a little chibi Hormigaunt, a little chibi Sister Belle, a little chibi Eldar.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things, and I would probably try to paint them over the course of the year when I want something fun and easy and relaxing to work on.
Yeah.
But I'm probably not going to do that. I'm not going to buy an entire calendar to get 24 times the same figs.
Yeah.
This is just not appealing to me.
Speaking of calendars, we do also have next year's wall calendar, which I believe we got in our Adepticon goodie bags one year, because I do remember having one up on my wall, and it is actually pretty sweet. Like if you like Warhammer art and you have a wall calendar, which I'm one of like 5 people that do, it's pretty
I
cool.
have a wall calendar.
All
Kittens, usually.
All right,
Kittens.
so there's 6 of us.
Yeah, they relax me.
Yeah. And then is the like important stuff. Like the
Yeah,
rest of
this
this
is
has
where
been
things-
filler.
This is where things get. First of all, like the calendar you expect, the advent calendar, like it's a rehash of a previous product. This
Yep.
is new and exciting,
All right.
quote unquote.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still heartbroken about the squig from last year that had to be recalled. So I was never able to get one. But
I
these,
would love to see numbers of the percentage they actually got back,
right.
and how many people just went, nah.
I mean, because the problem was,
Bouncer is staying home.
yeah. I mean, because the problem was that it was a potential choking hazard for children. So if you are someone like me who does not have to worry about that sort of thing, I'm probably gonna keep it.
Yeah.
But this year we've
You
got,
tell me it's stuffed with asbestos, I'll think about it.
yeah. This year we've got Christmas tree ornaments. They are round baubles. There are 3 of them. There's an ultramarine, there's a squig, and there's the red gobbo. They are so good.
They are absolutely lovely. I'm amazed that somehow you have a gobo, you have the red gobo,
Yep.
you have a squig, and somehow it is the Space Marine head that looks the silliest, just the absolute
Oh.
goofiest of this. Like it looked as if somehow this ultramarine sneezed as only an enhanced meta human could sneeze inside his helmet with the vents closed. It's amazing.
Right? Because the other 2 being perfectly spherical, you almost go, yeah, all right, that could happen.
Like I can see like the red gobo. This is his reflection as he's looking into a Christmas
yeah.
ball. The squig looked like he's having an orgasm, but I'm willing to sort of gloss over that. But the Space Marine is just, mwah, man,
It's real
just
good.
wonderful,
It's
just
really
great.
good. I love them so
So,
much.
Are you are you the kind of person like, because you're like me, you live in an apartment? Do
Yeah.
you put up a Christmas tree? You also have a cat.
I
Do you
do.
put up a Christmas tree?
I currently do not have, I had to expand my desk setup so that I would have more room for painting, and so I no longer have room for a Christmas tree. I own a Christmas tree. It's at my parents' house. I have a very nice fake one with all the pre-lights. You just fold it out. Love it. So I do not currently put up a Christmas tree, but like I have, and in the future will. So I have zero reason not to get these incredible Christmas ornaments.
So that was my question.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to like go FOMO and get those for later?
Yeah, because real talk, I would just hang that squig up 100% of the time, because he is not, I mean, he might have like an ornament on the back, right? If he's Bouncer, he might have the ornament on his tail in the back. But realistically,
Mhm.
he's not particularly Christmassy. So I could just hang
No.
him up all of the time.
I mean, neither is that Space Marine.
No, he's not. Oh, I love them.
So, yeah, I unfortunately can't put up a tree because one of my cats is mental, and also I don't have much room in my apartment. Depending on the price,
Yeah.
like, because that's the thing with Games Workshop, especially when you're talking about some of the more random non-fig or book things, the prices can be wildly, they can vary to just dumb degrees.
Yeah.
But if these turn out to be somewhat reasonable, I might get the pack just for
Yeah.
fun. Like eventually I'll have the room and the courage to put up a Christmas tree, and it would be nice to have some fun ornaments like
Yeah.
like a climaxing squig.
And then there's another thing near and dear to my heart. I love a good pair of fancy socks. And we've got red Gobbo socks. And he is, I believe, shoving Bounce of the Squig into the box. That's how I choose to read that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not opening the box with the Squig inside. He is shoving him inside so he can drop him off literally anywhere.
The red Gobo is basically a stand-in for Santa Claus. So I believe he likes to distribute presents. I don't think this is Bouncer. He's too small. I think he just gives people squigs, which is dangerous.
What self-respecting orc doesn't want a squig for Christmas?
Beast snaggers definitely do. The balance of the orc population, I mean, results may vary.
Yeah. I mean, we learned that hair squigs are a thing, so I guess it depends on your variety. Then there's like more licensed stuff that is of less interest to me. Though a lot of the Christmas cards and there's it says gift wrap and stockings, but they haven't shown us all of that yet. And then there's like the blind bag pins, and there's some keychains, and all those are cool. But we also have officially licensed purity seal pins, which that's fun to see.
They call them pin badges.
Sure. And that's fun to see because, like, I have top secret reasons for wanting to know what GW thinks that full-size, actual, real-life purity seals would look like. And now I have reference.
Well, this is one of those weird things. Like, I make a big deal of Games Workshop leaving money on the table on a regular basis. Yeah. And Purity Seals is one of those things as far as gimmicks are concerned. Like, Games Workshop has put out so many silly gimmicks in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, the silliest was the heavy metal vinyl album that came with White Dwarf magazine once. But they've done so many they've had so many weird choices as far as merchandising is concerned. I mean, the socks, I love socks too. I mean, screw me undies for going NFTs, but like I like silly socks, and what's sillier than Red Gobo?
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, those are dumb merchandising in a way. Meanwhile, Purity Seals seem to be like this low-hanging fruit that they would be able to sell a bunch to all their Space Marine players and more.
Yeah.
So and they've put out Purity Seals as part of like collector's edition this and collector's edition that. So we've seen that they're capable. These seem like an easy thing to create, to manufacture.
Uh-huh.
And yet, after 35 years, it's the first time Games Workshop's like, we'll license them for someone else to make. It's baffling.
Speaking of 35 years, we're getting the anniversary model. They showed us that the other day. Mm-hmm. That one's wild. I was not prepared to talk about this. I've only just remembered it, which is why I am furiously scrolling through the Warhammer community site, which is showing me 800 versions of the Gnarlwood announcement in various languages.
So Warhammer community put out the basically a preview of that model, which is a Space Marine. I think it's a Black Templar Emperor's Champion type Space Marine stabbing an orc, what looks to me like an orc knob, in the chest.
Yeah.
I think this is a very personal insult. Once again, moments before Orktober, the celebration of all things orc, Games Workshop chooses to just flaunt this model where an orc gets killed.
Yeah.
It's an amazing model. It looks really cool. It's super dynamic. And it took about 2 seconds before the entire internet decided to Photoshop this into so many other various versions.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were just thought bubbles for the different characters, and some of them more elaborate. One of my favorite is replacing the entire Black Templar with a Gobo.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, so good. That was my favorite one too. Yeah, love that. Bayard, Bayard is his name. I don't know a lot of Black Templar lore, but he's a guy.
He's clearly a dude.
And as I mentioned, we have been told about the next Warhammer Underworlds expansion. And the interesting thing about it is that we are following Warcry into the Gnarlwood.
That to me is interesting. It's
Isn't
actually that little fact is more interesting to me than the actual expansion for Underworld.
Sure.
Although there are certain things that are very cool about this box.
Yeah. So as per usual, we get 2 warbands in the box along with all of the other shenanigans that we get. So there's the Gnarl Spirit Pack, who are your sort of general barbarian-y type guys, but it's, the Gnarlwood, so there's a lot of skulls and fur, and I like it. And then we've got the Sons of Velmorne, who are Graveguard. Skeleton dudes in armor with shields, and I love these models so much.
They are very cool, especially for undead. This is one of the things that I'm really enjoying. One of the very first set of models that I got to see at home was when I was a kid or young teenager, aeons ago. My brother bought what was at the time the Vampire Count army set.
Yeah.
A huge investment on his part.
Yeah.
And I still have some pieces of those skeletons that I use for scenery and basing because we obviously never got to play with them.
No.
But to see the evolution of how Games Workshop does skeletons now compared to back then it's stunning.
Yeah, skeletons and zombies.
They're doing good work.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have somewhere.
First of all,
I have a bag
abandoning
of GW
ball
zombies.
joints.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Abandoning ball joints on decomposing miniatures was a good idea.
Yep.
It's a strong plan.
So we're going into the Gnarlwood along with Warcry, which is interesting. Like, I wonder if this is a thing they're going to keep up. Are we going to... Now, we get more Underworlds expansions than we do new settings for Warcry in a year. Like, they don't always match up, but I wonder if we'll keep following them along.
Well, seeing what they're doing there and seeing a little bit how now Kill Team is going to be seasons where for basically 4 expansions, they're going to be sticking to the same theme.
Yeah.
I like that Games Workshop is sort of leaning into these various things. And I feel that the more they do this kind of thing, the more the evolution of games is less about new additions and more about seasons and evolving an existing set of rules, the less chances there are of there being a 40k 10th edition and a whole new set of codexes.
Right.
The idea of reissuing codexes, moving along and pushing what's already existing as far as rules are concerned, is much more preferable to me than having to start over again.
Yeah, there's no reason to burn everything down to the ground again.
Not every single time, especially now that it feels like right behind me, I have all the codexes that have come out, and it is just an enormous collection. I don't think people are going to be willing to follow Games Workshop yet again into a new edition and be massive collectors like they've once been. Now, one thing about this particular release for Underworlds that is very interesting, at least to me, is that the box comes with a pair of Rivals deck. Yeah. Which is going to be fun because I don't like having to hunt those down.
Yeah. Coming with extra stuff is interesting. Because we have seen every boxed warband that comes out now has a Rivals deck with it. And coming with 2 universal decks is pretty exciting.
Yes, and very much. This might be the selling point for me because then I won't have to hunt those down again. And I get pretty models at the same time. And usually Underworlds for the content of the box are a fairly good deal. So no skin off my my back.
Also, the Eschers are getting an upgrade pack that looks incredible. We said it was like a quiet week, but it is decidedly apparently not.
It's noisy. Like, there's no single voice speaking very loud.
Sure.
Just a ton of chattering little voices. What's interesting to me about the this upgrade pack, the fact that we're seeing the upgrade packs for Horus Heresy come out, we're seeing upgrade packs for the Escher so that they fit more the Ash Waste. Games Workshop seems to be doing exactly what I was hoping they'd do when they first announced that they were doing those weapon packs for Horus Heresy, is embracing the idea of upgrades.
Yeah.
I'm guessing either this. Obviously, we know that like the planning to execution timeline is pretty long for models.
Right.
So who knows how long they've been planning on doing this. I'm hoping that the reaction of consumers is going to justify this and encourage them to keep doing it.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
So I think that's it for this week. We'll have another episode next week along with our traditional preview review episode, which is available on the YouTube channel. Until then, for myself and JF, thank you for listening. All of our contact and social media information is in the show notes, and we'll talk to you next week. Materials shown in this video are provided fully or in part by Games Workshop for promotional purposes. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping us a like and subscribing. Thanks for watching.